Hello folks, and welcome back to True Stories with me, Sherry Wiens. It's TGIS, thank God it's Sherry. Today I wanted to do a story on the Kelsey Berreth case. As far as we all know, her body has not been found and she has not been located. Now, Kelsey Berreth was born September 15th, 1989 to Cheryl and Daryl Berreth. And as an adult, she sort of created her life in Woodland Park, Colorado, where she later met Patrick Frazee and ended up they had a daughter together that they named Kaylee. Now, Patrick worked as a farrier on a cattle ranch, fitting cattle hooves and shoes, shaping the hooves, much like what a blacksmith would do for horses. And Kelsey worked as a flight instructor at Doss Aviation for pilots. It's reported that her employer did receive a text stating that Kelsey would not be at work for the week. However, Frazee also supposedly received a text from Kelsey as well. However, that has not been verified. On Sunday, November 25th, Kelsey's phone pinged in a town near Gooding, Idaho, approximately 600 miles from her Woodland Park home. Now, the following week, on December 2nd, Kelsey's mother, Cheryl Berreth, finally decided to just call and report in her daughter is missing because nobody could get a hold of her or get into touch with her. Cheryl had reached out to Frazee, but he stated that he hadn't heard anything from her either, and he knew nothing of her whereabouts. A search for Kelsey's at her home revealed nothing out of place, nothing out of the ordinary, and nothing necessarily very used since Thanksgiving. Now, on Monday, December 3rd, the Woodland Park Police Department asked for the public's help in locating Kelsey Berreth or anyone with information on her whereabouts to come forward. By Wednesday, Kelsey's family had created a Facebook page called Missing Mother Kelsey Berreth to spread awareness on her disappearance. Police had added that she had last been seen wearing a white shirt and a gray sweater, blue pants that may have been blue jeans, and a pair of white shoes, and she was carrying a brown purse. On Thursday, the family noted to the world that it was out of character that Kelsey would vanish the way that she has. And, you know, she's always contacted her family and her friends in regards to flights that she was going to be taking, you know, cross country. She was very much in communication with the people who loved her. She would also always fill out a flight plan before her trips. So because none of this could be found, everything was just such a big question mark. Now, some folks had suspicion that it was possible that Kelsey had just sort of flew someplace far away and she just hadn't checked in with anybody. However, there were no reports of, you know, planes being rented or, you know, anything that could supposedly point to her flying somewhere. So those things sort of tended to be ruled out. On Friday, December 7th, a prayer vigil was held for Kelsey Berreth at her brother's home in Tacoma, Washington, with friends and neighbors showing up to show their support with candles. They sang Silent Night, and the family pleaded for continuous prayers, stating that they desperately wanted to find Kelsey and bring her home. By Monday, November 10th, Cheryl Berreth and the Woodland Park Police Department shared a press conference of what they knew so far. They stated that they were working with numerous law enforcement authorities, including the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Gooding, Idaho Police Department, to find Kelsey and try to bring her home. All the aircrafts had been accounted for at her job, and there were no rentals that could be found. So at this point, there was no indication that Kelsey had flew somewhere, and they also had no suspects at this time. It was stated that Patrick Frazee was invited to the press conference, but he had chose not to attend, and there was seemingly a lot of questions around why he chose to do that. When reporters had asked, you know, the officials there in the interview, what was the reasoning? The officials basically reiterated for them to turn around and go ask Frazee that because they had no answer. You know, the attending parties had no idea why Frazee chose to not show up. However, they did mention that he was being very cooperative with them. Kelsey's mother, Cheryl, had made some statements in regards to her daughter's character and how out of line everything current events seem to be. She explained that Kelsey and Patrick did not reside together, but that they actually had a really good relationship, that things were really good between them. Kelsey had a strong belief in God, and she further explains how, Kelsey really loves her family, really loves her job and her friends, and would not just run off without communicating with them at all. And Cheryl was adamant that there is somebody that must know something out there as to where she is. On December 11th, the Woodland Park Police released the last known footage of Kelsey that was captured before her disappearance. And in the shared video, you can clearly see Kelsey Berreth enter into the Safeway store, and she was carrying her daughter in the car seat before she chose a cart and placed her daughter into the car seat and proceeded through into the store to go shopping. Now, I wonder if they've actually saw the footage of Kelsey leaving. I'm sure that law enforcement has already reviewed this type of information, and that's why they've come to the conclusions that they have at this point. However, 2 days later, Cheryl, Kelsey's mother, spoke to NBC stating that she had hoped that her daughter would be found, adding that there was literally not one place that Kelsey has gone that she hasn't shared with her beloved mother. Cheryl explained that she spoke to her daughter twice on Thanksgiving Day. One of those conversations had to do with a recipe that Kelsey was interested in. And I mean, her mother said that her voice sounded absolutely normal, and everything on all accounts seemed as if it was a very normal day and everything was fine. Cheryl also said she is committed to staying positive throughout this process. She's sure, someone has some information out there. It's just a matter of them coming forward, realizing who they might have that information about. Now, and Cheryl does admit that, it's easy to go down the negative road, but she states that it really isn't going to do her any good, nor will it do Kelsey any good for her to travel down that negative road. So she's deciding to sort of keep her head up and stay positive through this tragedy. Frazee's lawyer, Jeremy Lowe, stated that his client was cooperating with officers. He's voluntarily handed over his cell phone, allowing for it to be searched in its entirety, and he's also volunteered for DNA cheek swabs for that to be tested. It's also stated the reason that Patrick wasn't in attendance at the press conference that was held on Monday was simply due to just timing. He had only received notification that the meeting was going to be in an hour, and had he had a little bit more time, it's stated that he really would have shown up for that that press conference with the Berreth family as well as law enforcement. Later on that evening, the Woodland Park community would gather, and they had a candlelight vigil at the flagpole in the Memorial Park, and they showed their support and love for Kelsey's family during this tragedy. Dozens of people showed up to rally their kindness sort of towards them during this traumatic time. On Friday, December 14th, law enforcement with Teller County Sheriff's Office executed a search warrant for Patrick Frazee's home. With more than 75 law enforcement officials participating in the search, they proceeded to cut the lock at the gate of 1713 Wildhorn Road in Florisant, Colorado, to commence what could potentially be days' worth of searching, all while Frazee cared for their one-year-old daughter, Kaylee. Now, Sunday, December 16th, authorities voiced that they had completed the search at Frazee's home. It's unclear as to everything that they had retrieved or found during the search, and the warrant has been sealed from the public, so those details aren't going to be available to us for right now. Now, the Woodland Park Police announced that there's an anonymous $25,000 reward for any information leading to the whereabouts of Kelsey Berreth. And on Tuesday, December 19th, police briefly returned to Frazee's home for a supposed follow-up, a routine check. Authorities stated that they continued to make, steady progress and, while following up on multiple leads involving Kelsey's disappearance. During the investigation, a friend of Frazee's named Sonia Oliver, she's known him for approximately 5 years, came forward to sort of defend her friend, stating that he's a really gentle soul, he's soft-spoken, he's quite practical and really just down to earth. Oliver said that, you know, she just couldn't imagine him harming anyone or anything for that matter, and she can't imagine him having a part of any of this. Now, on Friday, December 21st, Patrick was taken into custody by the Woodland Park Police Chief, Miles DeYoung, at approximately 7 a.m. and was officially booked in with the murders and solicitation to commit murder of Kelsey Berreth. Frazee is accused of seeking to hire someone to kill his wife on a few occasions, and Chief DeYoung stated to reporters that they no longer believed that Kelsey was alive despite having not located her body. They now believe that Kelsey was killed in her Woodland Park home. DeYoung further stated that they had enough information to implicate Frazee in her death and obtained a multi-jurisdictional warrant for his arrest. This case involves several law enforcement agencies, including the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Frazee was arrested on his 35-acre ranch in Florisant right then and there, and their 1-year-old daughter, Kaylee, was brought into protective custody that morning, with plans to reunite her with Kelsey's family. Authorities did confirm that Kelsey's phone was in fact in Idaho, but could not elaborate exactly as to how it got there. Patrick Frazee is being held without bond and is due to appear in court for a pretrial conference hearing being held February 7th at 8:30 a.m., following by a preliminary hearing that is set for the courts for February 19th at 9 a.m. On December 27th, Frazee appeared in court looking disheveled and was shackled. He was there for an emergency court hearing on the custody of 1-year-old Kaylee. Now, the judge has actually granted that temporary custody to Kelsey's parents, Cheryl and Daryl. And on December 31st, the official charges were laid to Patrick Frazee on 3 separate charges of solicitation to commit murder, as well as 2 charges on first-degree murder. Now, if you're wondering why there's 2 first-degree murder charges, it is due to the state of Colorado's judicial system requiring that each theory of how Kelsey was killed to be separate and set as a separate charge. So while there's only 1 murder and there's only 1 murder charge that will actually stick, ultimately, there are 2 theories as to how Kelsey perhaps has been killed. One of those theories was that she was killed during a robbery, indicating she was killed during the commission of another crime, while another theory is charged as a deliberate act from Frazee himself, causing death of Kelsey with intent to do so. The 2 theories are listed as deliberation for murder, and the other is felony murder. On January 3rd, information came out that Patrick Frazee possibly had another woman he was involved with. It was a 32-year-old nurse from Idaho. January 4th, Cheryl and Daryl Berreth filed a wrongful death lawsuit seeking unspecified damages from 32-year-old Frazee. However, just a couple of days ago, Patrick filed a motion to dismiss the wrongful death lawsuit under the grounds that Kelsey's parents don't have grounds to file this lawsuit. Now, that's due to Kelsey having a surviving daughter, which is Kaylee. Now, the Berreth family can turn around and refile this lawsuit, this wrongful death lawsuit on Patrick Frazee based on Kaylee's behalf. However, you know, Frazee's also put input into his motion that he's disputing that the Berreth family even has any distress over the loss of their daughter. And I mean, I'm just like, what a jerk that he would, you know, have the audacity afterwards to turn around and state that he thinks that they don't have any harm or hurt from the loss of their daughter. Unbelievable. Patrick Frazee has had some support in court by his sister Erin and his mother Sheila, and Frazee also has an older brother who works in law enforcement at the El Paso Sheriff's Department. So I will definitely keep you guys updated and posted for more information as we quickly approach the date for hearings that are coming up in February for Patrick. Thank you folks for watching. If you enjoyed the video update with me, you can throw up a like sign. I appreciate the support, and we will see you again soon. Stay safe out there. Bye for now.